to remember something from Invicta's past. Let's head over there. I got my NPR voice on there at the end. You remember Invicta the last time, and you see yourself in this memory having escaped a well, not really similar, but a firefight, an unexpected sort of firefight. You have escaped. You've made your way away from wherever this fight happened. It wasn't even really a fight; it was more of an ambush on you. Tell us a little about what is going on, what you were doing out here, what's happening now. Tell us a little about what we're remembering.
Um, Invicta's thinking about what should have been a very routine mission, kind of her first one out of training wheels off, live weapons, everything else. It's supposed to be just kind of exploratory mission, helping to map out parts of Vutoa. And they came across other humans that were definitely not Musalians, that seemed very perplexed by them arriving, and that opened fire. And
Yeah.
she had to jump into the thick of it very quickly. And it was a quick and bloody battle. Only a few of these new humans surviving the Blade Keeper group she was with. And that's when she learned that other humans had found Vutoa.
Yeah, so it seemed. Basically, you were sent out with this group of blade keepers just to check out some reports of what people sort of thought were probably maybe wild animals stealing from settlements or something. There was just some strange activity, and it was totally routine, like you said, a scouting mission just to see what's up. And you all were attacked by people that looked like Musalians, but were definitely not Musalians. And you had to jump into the thick of it pretty quickly, and as you said, only a few of them survived. So in that situation, it ended up okay. So we see Invicta with her Blade Keeper companions, and just tell us about this fight. What does a squad of Blade Keepers doing what they do? What is that like? What is that experience like?
It's kind of terrifying. It's like a precision knife on legs, cutting through enemies, taking heads, and it was her first time for real in the thick of it. And even though she trained for it, she still was kind of like hopped up on adrenaline because we're out here exploring and finding new things. And oh, where did they come from? What's happening? Why are we being shot at? And then it was just like the whole pack of them wandered into the fray, and it was like everyone had the sharpest of sharp knives and blades and kind of electro blades. Everyone has like their own personalized blade keeper weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time that her blade had been wetted in combat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's terrifying, but also kind of beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, that is exactly how I imagined it. Terrifying and beautiful. And in the end, the ones that escaped, did they escape because you let them? Sort of
Oh no, they
spread
didn't
the word?
escape. They
Oh,
didn't
oh,
escape. They were taken
oh.
prisoner.
Aha, aha. Okay, excellent. So yes, they were taken prisoner. You all marched them back, and we sort of see a little transition here where it's almost like a memory within a memory. We now see Invicta uh, at. Are we at your home, or are we at the other person in the scene's home who you know who that is?
The other person's home.
Okay, so we see Invicta in a pretty simple set of rooms. These rooms actually are within the Blade Keeper sort of compound. Some of the individuals that are sort of higher up in the Blade Keeper organizations actually stay on campus, or however we want to say that.
Yeah.
But Invicta is there, and sitting with Invicta, a pot of tea between them, is a much older but still obviously fierce and sharp Hyanol. person. They have a slight graying about the muzzle, but otherwise their fur is light brown and shiny and full. Their yellow eyes are sharp as ever, and you can see underneath their very simple sort of clothing, you can see that their body is a weapon. They are honed and trained and prepped, and this is very clearly an older Hyanol, but a powerful Hyanol who is sitting there, and you, Invicta, are relaying this story to them, letting them know what happened on this mission that you were sent on and how it ended up in success. So, what are the last things that you tell your mentor, who is here sitting across from you?
The last thing I tell them is that that wasn't what I expected my first mission to be. I really thought it would be more orderly, more going in, keeping the peace, not being sprung upon almost from the bushes like we were being hunted like animals.
You did well. No one expects their first mission to go in any way that it goes. One cannot truly make preparations for such events. Granted, this took a turn that no one possibly could have expected, but you did well, Invicta, and I am proud of you.
And thank you, Roxana. I'm just glad I came back to be able to tell you.
As am I. How embarrassing it would have been to not return from your first mission.
Well, you know the way that some people treat me. It would not have been unexpected, and they would have probably reveled in it.
Do not dwell on them, Invicta, she says very forcefully. She has said this to you before. They mean nothing.
I know, I
Worse,
know.
worse that they are Hyanol, and see not the fallacies of their logic. But even the ones that do not follow our ways, that are not of our peoples, they matter not. Their logic is flawed. You know this.
I do.
Good.
But unlike our Mansagene friends, I can't turn off my emotions so easily.
Tell me, Invicta, you have said that you are glad you returned, that you are surprised at how the mission went. But how do you feel now? Are you proud of your achievement? Are you relieved? Are you excited for more? Do you dread the next mission?
She takes a moment to think about it and takes a few sips of her tea. I feel excited, a little scared, a little worried, but overall that I've done well, that I'm I'm doing what you trained me to do and doing it well. And I hope that I'll continue to make you proud.
Roxana has, you look up because something tells me that you were probably not looking them in the eye while you said this. That is, if that's a poor assumption, let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you do look up to see Roxana, they have just the most like genuine, guileless, joyful smile on their face. And they say, I think, couched as it was in a desire to please me, of all people, that was the first time that I think I have heard you say that you were proud of yourself, Invicta?
Well, stranger things have happened.
What say you to it being a day of firsts?
I trust you implicitly.
Wait here a moment. And Roxana gets up and leaves the little sitting room that you were having tea with them in. And what does they're gone a couple of minutes? What does Invicta do while she's alone in the room waiting on whatever this is that Roxana's doing?
She kind of sits there and is kind of nervously tapping her claws on the table
Uh,
because she's not sure what to expect. Her mentor's constantly kind of surprising her in both good and interesting ways.
sure, definitely. Uh, tap 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 tap, and eventually after what seems like 10,000 taps, Roxana does come back in, and she doesn't seem to have anything with her. She's changed. She just stands there. They just stand there. So sorry. They just stand there in the doorway smiling and looking at you, and finally after a few moments they say, so how fared your weapon on the mission? I should have asked. It was your first time employing that blade in battle, no?
Yes.
And how did you find it in practice as opposed to in actuality as opposed to in practice?
Messier than I thought. It will take a bit to get some of the nicks and scratches out.
A worthy task for any blade keeper to care for one's blade. That said, I always did find the upkeep of one's blade, while necessary, of course, an essential tenet to our order, to be cumbersome.
It can be, yes.
But it doesn't have to be, you know.
Oh.
And they reach behind them into the sheath that they have sort of always strapped to their back, which was empty before when you all were having tea, taking tea, but apparently it is empty no more. And they draw out a what is familiar to us in present day, but is not at this moment owned by Invicta. A beautiful blade made of Aventera metal. You want to tell us a little bit about the blade and what, if anything, Invicta knows about it? Obviously, you, Tanya, know much more about it, but what Invicta knows at this point about this blade and what this blade looks like.
The blade is, at this point, is still a beautiful untarnished platinum color. The hilt is wrapped in a very dark leather, and
Mhm.
for comparison, it would be between a wakizashi and a katana.
Oh.
And it's got the razor thin
Mm-hmm.
um, edge, and on the blade itself are runes that a Hyanol would understand, explaining a bit of history of why this is special to specifically a Hyanol blade keeper.
Mm.
And it glints in the light of the apartment or the house. And for a moment, Invicta's just stunned because she's seen her mentor with this, faced it on occasion in practice. And she's just kind of looking at the blade and looking up at her mentor. It's like, this is your weapon. This means so much to you. I don't understand.
You, Invicta, means so much to me. All of my charges do. I've mentored many blade keepers over the years, but you are special. This blade is special in that it is rare, precious, both to our people and to our order, but it is a tool, and my attachment to it is a master craftsman's attachment to their tool. And as with any master craftsman, when their apprentice has reached a certain level, the tools get passed on. So too with this. So too with this. And she flips it around and presents it to you, hilt first.
Invicta pauses. She can't believe that our mentor would give up this blade to such an inexperienced fighter, at least on the real battlefield. And she just looks down and is like, but why?
Because. Hmm. Because honestly, Invicta, as trite as it may sound, you remind me very much of myself. Similar doubts, similar past, similar passion for the training and the work and the art. And I, as you well know, have had many adventures uh, with this blade. And as we are so similar, I thought perhaps you might be able to have many adventures with it as well.
I, you know, I'm rarely speechless, but in this moment, all I can say is thank you. And it means it means more than I have words for right now that you would entrust this to me, and I'll take good care of her.
That, of that, I have no doubt. Remember always that your work cannot surpass your tools alone, but they are still individually only that. Treasure this blade, but remember that it is you who wields it. Now, come. And she takes that fine leather wrapping, and they take that fine leather wrapping and they undo the end of it and they unwrap it, and you can see underneath the unwrapped leather grip of it is more of that fine Aventera metal, and there are marks, not words, not letters, but marks. Sort of, it's the one place on the blade that really shows sort of how old this thing was, and it's always been that way. And Roxana sort of wrapped the grip so that it wouldn't deteriorate anymore, but wanted to preserve that history of the blade. So they unwrap the leather and hand the leather strap to you, because a tradition, when a blade keeper gets a new sword, is to wrap the hilt themselves to sort of claim that grip as their own. And so Roxana hands you the leather and says, "This blade carries no name anymore. It did once, served me well as, well, I shan't speak it now, as it is ill fortune to remember the past too closely in moments like these. But you will rename this blade. You will make it yours as surely as the rewrapping of the grip makes it yours, as surely as my giving it to you does. The blade will not be truly yours until that moment when you know its name."
Thank you. If you would do me the honor, let's sit while I rewrap the blade.
It would be my honor.
And Invicta is Invicta's really just stunned, and she doesn't know. She knows what she would like to say, but she's trying to not be stoic, but give this moment the gravity it deserves, and she's trying not to like basically start blubbering at her mentor because it's so important to her. And
Sure.
um she just very solemnly, takes a sip of her tea, lays the blade on the table, lays the wrap out, and then runs her hands over it a few times before starting to very solemnly rewrap the hilts.
And your mentor occasionally will sort of tactfully be distracted by something else in the room and look away when Invicta needs a moment to take a breath. But then otherwise they are very attentive. Excuse me, as you rewrap this blade, and when it is done, uh, Roxana sort of reaches or puts their hands out as if to take the blade from you for a moment.
And I offer it hilt first.
And they stand and they walk around behind you and very solemnly place the blade in your own scabbard. And it doesn't really fit. It is a different blade, but it goes
Yeah.
in well enough that the solemnity of the blade is now yours. You have a place for it. You have wrapped it. You have been gifted it. There is that step of naming it left, but otherwise, this little, it's not really a ritual. It wasn't planned. There isn't. I mean, the wrapping is a thing that sort of everyone does, but there's no real pomp and circumstance to this other than you both sort of felt what was necessary in the moment and did it.
I'll take good care of her, and first thing tomorrow, get a proper scabbard commission for her.
Roxana sort of smiles and they say, yes, she deserves a new scabbard for her new life. Remember everything we've discussed today, but more than anything, hold close that feeling of pride you felt, Invicta. I think I think that feeling, if I may, will be rare for you for a while. You are very hard on yourself, and I understand why. But hold on to that feeling of pride, Invicta. And to the blade, they say. You should hold on to that too.
I will. It will not leave me.
Until the time is right, as it was with me. Now, go. Something tells me that a successful mission will be more than enough to distract the other blade keepers from remembering that you are but a scholarly, bookish Hyanol, at least for this evening of celebration.
And beside, I can drink all them under the table.
And besides, you can drink them all under the table. And you were right. So let's head back to the moon as we end Invicta's memory here. So as you complete, as you sort of get to the end of this memory, Invicta, and you remember